I heard an amazing story about a politician who had gone out on a boat together with his wife. And then when the boat came back in, his wife was no longer there. Instead, he was there along with bloodstains from his wife, a weapon, his fingerprints on the weapon, and he was basically arrested for the murder of his wife. And this made big news in the media, and everyone's talking about it. Big, powerful politician murdered his wife, and he hired a major, top-of-the-line lawyer to represent him. You know, one of those like super lawyers who wins like every case, no matter what the chances are. And the reporters were talking about, I mean, this is like a black and white, open and shut case. Like, there's nothing this lawyer could do. What's he going to do? So the hearing finally takes place, and there's several days of evidence presented by the prosecution showing conclusively that this man murdered his wife. And the defense attorney pretty much just nodded each time. Okay, thank you for sharing. No questions, Your Honor. No questions. No. And he just like ignored everything. And the reporters were talking about, like, what happened to him? I mean, what's he being paid to do? Just to nod and say, thank you very much? Like, he's not doing anything. And then it finally was time for the defense. And he gets up and says, Your Honor, jurors, you may have noticed that I've pretty much ignored all of the evidence that was presented against my client. And I did that because I have only one witness to bring, one piece of evidence. But this witness is so powerful and so critical to my case that it will destroy every piece of evidence that was presented against my client. So everyone's like very curious. Well, who is this witness going to be? And he says, you know what? You're actually going to agree with me when you hear who this witness is, that all the other evidence has just become meaningless. He goes on to say, the witness that I will be calling is my client's wife. She actually is not dead. She is alive and well. She did fall off the boat, but she made it ashore. She's on her way back now to testify conclusively that her husband did not murder her or even try to murder her. And that's like oohs and ahs in the courtroom at this point. He says, but the thing is, she has to get back here. So she's not going to be back till tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If the court would allow, I'd like to resume tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So the judge says, all right, in light of this unusual request and pending testimony, we'll agree, resuming tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Now the news goes crazy. Wow, what a brilliant attorney. This is incredible. What a star witness. This is going to be great. And the next day, you can imagine the courtroom is packed. Every reporter from every country and every language, and they're all focused on that door. Closer we get to 3 o'clock, every time the door opens, people just watching, it goes quiet, and oh, it's the wrong person. Next door opens, it's her, no, it's the wrong person. And they just keep waiting and waiting and looking and staring. 3 o'clock finally comes. 3:05, 3:10. The lawyer gets up, he's on the phone, he goes, I'm so sorry, I just got a call. She has been delayed. If we could please wait one more hour to 4:15. She says she'll be here by then. Okay, fine. You've inconvenienced us a lot already, but we're gonna allow it. 4:15. So now, again, as we get closer and closer to that critical hour, everyone is just glued to that door. Their eyes are glued to the TV, watching it. Everyone is just so excited to watch her come in, to hear what she has to say. And finally, at 4:15, the lawyer gets up. He says, I have a confession to make. She's not coming. But in order to convict someone of murder, you have to prove that they are guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Every single juror, every single person in this room was staring at that door, waiting for my client's wife to walk in. Clearly, there are some doubts about whether she was even murdered to begin with. So I submit you cannot convict my client. The jury went to deliberate, and after a little while, they came back and said, "We've reached a verdict." The judge asks, "What is the verdict?" They said, "We have concluded that he is guilty of murder in the first degree." And the judge said, "I'm just curious. The defense attorney made a really good case. We were all staring at that door. How did you come to that conclusion?" They said, "Well, Your Honor, you're right. We were all staring at that door. Everyone in the entire courtroom was staring at that door, waiting for her to walk in, except for one person. Her husband was not even looking at the door. He obviously knew she was not coming in because he killed her." In Judaism, there is an idea of being honest with ourselves. Toho kibaro, not misrepresenting who we are, pretending to be kind, but really be mean-spirited, pretending to be generous, but really being selfish. One of the first steps for enabling us to become better is to recognize our faults, to recognize where we're coming up short. But if we could do that, if we can be honest with ourselves, look ourselves in the mirror, really see ourselves, of course, to see our talents and our strengths, but also to see our weaknesses and our struggles, then we'll have a fighting chance to truly become better people. Thank you all so much.